Presenting at the bottom right corner, he is the player from Alpha X, Astrea.
Oh
I was
boy.
kind of doubting if he was still an AX, and I'm like, oh wait, he's my teammate.
God, God damn it, Cristiano. They're both your
Oh wait a
teammates.
minute.
God damn it.
Yeah, that was weird. And both probes, did you see like they kissed each other, but on the exact like on the middle,
Mhm.
But it was like perfect timing because
Oh,
it was between. It's hard to explain it in English, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
The timing of the scout was so perfect that they both touched each other at the right, like
Yeah.
at the perfect timing.
They touch
I'm very
tips.
impressed by that.
Oh boy, oh boy. And again, you should be impressed because mate, these are two amazing players. Like I have to give a bit of a shout out to TriGGeR, he's a very young player. Again, this is his first year competing at this level of play. DreamHack Summer was his first time getting up to the group stage of DreamHack as well. So he's done very well for himself. He has improved so much in such a short period of time. He's on top of the NA ladder. Last season, he made it to the playoffs. And we'll see if, like, I'm looking at someone like TriGGeR to be, like, maybe the next Astrea, the next Neve, like, in the next year or so.
Yeah, hopefully, and he's been training a lot. I've seen him a lot on Nina's stream. I know that Nina teaches TriGGeR a lot of NA Protoss stuff, but yeah, Nina's been kind of like her mentor, and I'm pretty sure he's been able to learn from her experience. And now he's just on his own terms. He's playing his own strategies. He loves to go for timing pushes. He's not much of a macro player. I haven't seen TriGGeR being successful on playing macro games, but I've seen him being successful on the middle stage of the game and the earlier stage. He's literally a master.
Exactly.
I'm very impressed by him because he's been able to be one of the best Protoss players in a very difficult server. I played against him a lot also. He's always there, playing, always practicing, he's always working hard, and that shows you that in order to be in this type of scenario, you have to give your best, and TriGGeR has done it. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, definitely. He's just risen so much, and we'll see how he does, because it's kind of rough. The very first series for him here in DreamHack is against Astrea, one of the more established players. When people think of the top NA players, they think Neeb, Astrea, and Scarlet. Those are the top three that you want to be beating. So TriGGeR, he has a bit of a mountain to climb ahead of him. We'll see. Vindicta was able to do so. Vindicta was able to take down Neeb. Can TriGGeR take down Astrea?
Would you imagine TriGGeR taking down 2-0 Astrea and then losing against Asuna?
It's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen. Oh no! Why did you
say today Asuna? Asuna murders everyone and classifies as one of the best NA Protoss in the world. It's gonna be his day. I'm cheering now for Asuna. I want to see Asuna.
Let's go, Asuna, best Protoss NA. Let's go. Oh god, that's terrible. That's a terrifying thought. That's a reality we could be living in. Oh god.
And Astrea, he was very lucky to follow the Phoenix, the first Oracle on the map, and because of that, he's very aware of the situation. He's able to defend his mineral line, and the Oracles have not been paying for themselves just yet, but at least these Oracles are getting a lot of vision, a lot of scouting, and I'm happy with that, but you should get more.
Definitely. I mean, there's obviously a lot of power with these two oracles, but we haven't seen them used yet. Not quite. Astrea was actually trying to catch these oracles in the middle of the map. Instead, TriGGeR pulls back, goes for a little bit of a faster third base. But now it's Astrea's turn to be the aggressor as he's moving out with his stalkers. Not just them, but also with some sentries.
Yeah, and at least one of the useful things about oracles is that when they don't work, you can start putting some stasis ward. So as a defensive
Oh!
manner, and look, the first one is gonna work. It's gonna make Astrea feel more saved, and because of it, because he's got very important units, which are the sentries, he needs to pull back, you know. And the adepts, on the other hand, are doing a great job harassing the mineral line from TriGGeR, and you know, it seems Astraea's in every single place on the map.
Yeah. Even though there was a stasis trap there, TriGGeR, he pulled his entire army over to deal with those adepts. He was pulled out of position, and now Astrea is able to take full advantage of that, and he takes down both shield batteries. No overcharge gets used.
Also, no blink for TriGGeR. He's not been able to micro stalkers because he's got no blink, and the Boydry gets sniped down by Astrea. Oh my god, the trade that he's making right now is one of the best trades you could have ever hoped for.
Exactly. Like the beginning of that fight, the beginning of this engagement, the precursor looked in favor of TriGGeR, but somehow, someway, Astrea pulled it all back in his favor. Now TriGGeR finally, blink is done. Maybe he can try and hold on. He's sending his oracles across the map because he needs to deal some damage.
Yeah, and as you guys can see, Astrea is now winning by 6 workers. Now, did I say 6? Oh yeah, it's 6. I'm glad I'm good at mathematics. And the oracles are trying to do their best in order to see if they can get any kills, but unluckily, only been able to get the reveals. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Astrea is going to transition, because he hasn't been taking a lot of gases. As you guys can see, he only has 1 gas at the natural and 2 at the main. Therefore, there's gonna be a lot of gateway units way, and there you go, there's a lot of gateways. And the oracle is not gonna get sniped. Nice move from TriGGeR.
The oracle doesn't get sniped. Unfortunately, TriGGeR doesn't go into the main base. He doesn't see the gateway explosion. He also hasn't seen the gas counts at the natural of Astrea. So TriGGeR is a little bit in the dark. He doesn't have the sentries either to go for those hallucinated scouts.
The oracles are still alive, which I'm glad. They're still a threat. But that's it. It's only a threat. If you don't do anything, those oracles, if they don't get you a probe advantage, you're gonna be in a very bad macro situation. And as you guys can see, Astrea is already adding the High Templar Archive tech, and also the robotics bay. He's starting to make the first immortal Widow War Prism, which means he wants to push with 3 bases.
That he does. As soon as that war prison finishes up, he's going to be zooming across the map. Meanwhile, TriGGeR, he's trying to get ready for the later stages of the game. He's trying to skip and cut a bunch of corners, getting ready for disruptors with his robotics bay, getting ready for sky toss with his fleet beacon. But this all gets scouted by Astrea. He knows that TriGGeR, he's again spending a lot of his resources in his economy, in his tech, not his army.
Yeah, and I'm in shock, because TriGGeR's got the oracles in order to scout what's going on, but he does not know about the intentions of Astrea of finishing the game on 3 bases. He thinks he is playing against an Astrea who's taking a 4th base right now, and look, Astrea knows everything. He knows there's a stasis ward. He only wants to kill TriGGeR because he knows the transition of fleet beacon.
Exactly, he knows everything, and now he's pushing up into the 3rd base of TriGGeR. This time TriGGeR does have the opportunity for overcharge. He does have some stack defense, not a lot though. And oh my god, the war prism, has to be so careful. Astrea does.
Oof, and 1 more Archon is on the way. 3 are gonna be morphed in, and look, the Zealots are doing a great job, but the Disruptor is gonna be able to take a very decent shot, but Astrea doesn't care at all. He just wants to finish the game because he knows he's got the better army supply, and the Zealots are killing every single unit from TriGGeR. He's in real trouble. He needs to evacuate, but the Stalkers and the Archons are starting to kill every single unit.
Yeah, exactly. Even though that was that juicy disruptor shot, it was not going to be enough. Another disruptor is coming up for TriGGeR, and maybe he can try and hold on, but yo, the 3rd base is already going down. TriGGeR knocked down to 2 bases.
Oh my god, and the last disruptor gets killed. 2 carriers are on the way, but ladies and gentlemen, I think it's just too late. It's just too late. Even if he's able to mass carriers, Astrea is already at 4th bases, and oh my god, it's so sad to see how this game is gonna end. TriGGeR was too innocent. He was like, oh, I'm going to play against a macro Astrea. He never scouted, and because of it, he's going to die.
Yeah, and there it is. GG gets called. Astrea takes the first game in this series and takes a 1-0 lead.
Damn, I don't know why TriGGeR took that decision of going instantly into SkyToss with a fourth base. It was so greedy, you know.
Yeah.
Like he was doing every single tech. He was making disruptors with robotics bay. He was making carriers with +1 attack air. It was just too many things at the same time, you know. And I don't like that TriGGeR, especially when you do it blindly. You know, it was such a gamble.
That was the thing that I was most surprised about. We both pointed it out, how unfortunately, even though TriGGeR was able to keep his his oracles alive, he wasn't the most adept at scouting, right? Like he didn't dive into the main base at all there towards the end. He didn't check the natural. He was really playing blindly.
Oh, and yeah, I think he didn't have to go for that gamble because he had the chance of scouting with his oracles. He could have just start flying across the map and try to get his scout from the oracles. When you see too many gateway units, when you see gases, the natural and the third base, it's clearly an attempt of the Protoss of going for an aggression with gateway units. Where are the minerals, you know? In that case, TriGGeR had the possibility of gathering that information, but he didn't. He just went for this move blindly, and it cost him the game.
Yeah, it really did, and we'll see if he can bring it back here in game number 2, or if we will see more of the same. As spawning in the top right hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Canadian Protoss player. He's red, representing Alpha X, currently down in this series, but he's not out. Not yet. It is TriGGeR.
Spawning at the bottom left corner, he is the player from Alpha X. Oh yes, I do remember you. You are my teammate and you are winning, so that's nice. He is Astrea.
Shaking my head, Cristiano. Shaking my head.
Yeah, that was very cool, you know. But I'm pretty sure that both players are now going to do some sort of the same. They are going to take the low ground from the natural, and they're going to attempt to go for a one gate expand. But because of these scouting probes, they are going to delay both nexus. And because of that move, TriGGeR and Astrea decide to take the gas immediately. But the original idea was to go for a Nexus expansion. So it's very interesting how both players are doing the same response, which shows you how prepared they are to play against each other. And I love it. This is pure professionalism.
Yeah, it's kind of like an awkward thing as well, because, like, let's be real, they are teammates as well. I imagine they practiced together before, and when preparing for DreamHack, it's rough because they're in the same group, you know, they know each other. Like, I'm really curious what kind of practice partners they have. I wouldn't be surprised if TriGGeR was practicing with Nina, and we'll see if, like, mind games come into play as well. They do force each other to come out with a Zealot, again, delaying their Nexuses for as long as possible.
Indeed, and the first Nexus is going to come down to TriGGeR, and of course Astrea is a little bit jealous. He's like, you know what? If you're getting a Nexus, now it's my turn, and TriGGeR is gonna get an edge of a macro advantage, but it's so tiny that it doesn't really matter. Unless both players play perfect, you know, then details do matter, but yeah, it's just such a little thing.
It's not the biggest of deals. It's there, but will it really impact this game? Probably not. What will is that once again, 2 games in a row, TriGGeR goes for the Stargate opener, but Astrea also not too far behind with his own. Yeah,
as you guys can see, Astrea's tech is gonna be delayed because he opted in for the sentry, which is a very weird move. You don't always see sentry because it's too risky. Imagine if the adept arrives in the neck of time, you can snipe the sentry, you're already losing. The sentry is not a very good defensive unit, but it gives you so much scout information. It gives you the insurance that you are going to be able to scout the enemy base. So it's kind of like a risk that if it works, it's really worth it. You know, it's really worth it.
Ooh, and I love how this is turning out as well, especially because Astrea was able to scout the Stargate opener. He actually was well aware of what TriGGeR was going for, so we have a Phoenix first coming out from Astrea. So this Oracle is going to have a bit of a harder time finding damage. It's headed towards the natural. Stalkers and Sentries are already ready for it.
Yeah, and this is the nice thing. Although Phoenixes are not good against Oracles because it takes a lot of time to kill an Oracle with the Phoenix, you do have the chance of killing it if TriGGeR, for example, doesn't have a recall. And now 4 probes are going to go down, which is very nice. And unluckily it's going to die, but I think it paid out for itself because not only he got 4 probes, he knows that Phoenixes are on the map, and that's going to be a very important decision.
Oh yeah, definitely. Phoenix production is continuing here for Astrea. Meanwhile, TriGGeR, I love it. I saw the probe headed out towards the map earlier, and we have a proxy Dark Shrine.
Ooh la la, NA Protoss moment. As you guys can see, if you go for Blink, most of the time you don't go for a Dark Shrine at the same time. So it's kind of like a mind game. It's showing... TriGGeR is showing to Astrea that he's willing to go for some sort of push with the Stalkers in order to get in an army advantage, because when you do Phoenixes, your army supply is much lower than the enemy Protoss, you know? So I'm pretty sure that's what TriGGeR is trying to sell to Astrea's scout, but in reality what's happening is DTs. DTs are on the way.
Oh god, exactly. Meanwhile, okay, it will not be scouted by the Phoenixes. I thought they were headed in that direction, but it's okay so far. It has been hidden. DTs are on the way. What is the detection looking like? Robo just about to finish up for Astrea. Imagine he's going to be working on that observer, so we'll see if these DTs find any damage.
I think the chances of getting probes are very high. But as you guys can see, the Stalker is well positioned.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Astrea sense it. And oh my god!
What just happened? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
The DTs.
That was such a nice. Hey, look, TriGGeR's got the advantage right now. He's forcing 2 mineral lines to not mine. He's killing more probes. 10 are already. Then oh my god, the force fields were so good from Astrea, but it's not gonna matter because the DTs already paid for themselves.
Yeah, 10 workers went down. I was so shocked. I thought the Stalker was covering the wall. I was like, yeah, there's no way with a shield battery and then with overcharge as well that the DTs would make their way through the Stalker, but apparently the Stalker was not thick enough. It was not covering that wall, and TriGGeR, man, he dealt the damage.
Indeed, and another DT's on the way just to see if he can be more annoying. And the Phoenixes now scout the proxy, so Astrea is going to perhaps try to kill that pylon. It's a very important thing. You can also take out DT's tech, which it could be very important. But the risk of that is that if you move your army towards the left corner of the map, you're putting in risk your third base because it's gonna be exposed. So it's kind of like TriGGeR telling Astrea, hey, if you're willing to take that, you have to risk something, you know?
Exactly, and the DT actually scouted the Zealots as they were going across the map, and meanwhile, at that same moment, TriGGeR goes to the opportunity. He dives in once again into the mineral line. 3 more probes go down, and maybe a couple more in the main base, but TriGGeR doesn't decide to try and apply pressure with his main army.
Yeah, and that's the risk I was talking about, you know? If you are distracted by attacking the proxy, the most probable thing is that you are not going to be able to see this little move, which is a single DT, just scouting every single structure in your main and your natural, and also killing a couple probes. So now TriGGeR is very satisfied with his build. He's got the advantage. He's going for a 4th base, and he's going to start putting up the pressure towards the 3rd base of Astrea.
Yeah, I kind of would have liked this a little bit sooner, but it looks like TriGGeR was waiting for his War Prison to finish up first so he can reinforce and be a little bit more secure. But we do see that Astrea has already repositioned to the 3rd base. He's already secure, And yeah, TriGGeR backs off, but he does have his fourth on the way.
Yeah, and it's very good news for TriGGeR. Look, that the
Yeah.
has been lifted up by 2 Phoenixes, so nice usage of the Phoenixes. You think that only 2 Phoenixes are actually useless, but in reality, Astrea can make it work. So I love that. And now Astrea is willing to push back. He wants to counterattack.
Yeah, that he does. This is kind of spotted by the War Prism, at least the Phoenixes are. Meanwhile, the Observer of TriGGeR will just barely, actually does not see the army, but TriGGeR is here in position. He's ready.
Yeah, and Phoenixes are doing a great job at scouting the army's positioning. So now more Zealots are gonna be add on, and I think batteries in this positioning of TriGGeR are just too good. You know, it's gonna be very difficult to penetrate TriGGeR's army. He can actually dive in. That's actually what's gonna happen. He's being forced to recall his immortals if he doesn't want to lose those important units. And now War Prism is on the main. Nice harassment for Astrea, and now he forces another recall. What's happening here?
Oh my god, there's recalls all over the place, but what's important is that TriGGeR, he left so many Zealots across the map, and the Zealots, they're gonna deal with whatever Astrea has at home, and he could even dive on top of the Immortals, but he backs off.
Yeah, and that was a nice warp pin of Zealots, a defensive warp pin, and the battery overcharge did the job, but unluckily for this new attack from Astrea, I mean for TriGGeR, no battery overcharge is gonna be available, so these 3 mortals, I don't think they're gonna make it.
Oh, we'll see a Disruptor comes out of the Astrea, please, we need to see a Purification over at some point. There it is, it does get sent off. Decent shot on those Zealots, but the third base is going down.
Yeah, 18 probes, 19 probes went down in that attack. So TriGGeR already paid that attack for itself. Now only 3 bases for Astrea. He's not gonna be able to produce more units the way TriGGeR is doing, and I think he's gonna take this game.
Oh yeah, exactly. He takes down every single Immortal. Only 1 Immortal left standing here. Astrea, who was trying to go for a 4th base, but it's still so vulnerable. This could go down as well. TriGGeR, he was also able to deal with the War Prism that was across the map.
Yeah, and I think this is gonna be very good for TriGGeR, because now he's gonna get more confidence in himself. He's gonna be like, you know what, my builds, my decisions are the same level as Astrea. I think I can put up a fight, so congratulations. The winner of the series, nah, I'm just kidding. The winner of this game is TriGGeR.
GG, TriGGeR ties it all up. Ooh. Wow, GG.
Wow. Yeah, those DTs, man, how unfortunate about the Stalker
Yeah.
for Astrea. I was like, man, what's happening here? Is TriGGeR hacking the Matrix? How did he pass?
Like, because of the angle, it looked like the DTs just phased through the Stalker somehow. It's like, what? What is happening? But yeah, I guess the opening was a little bit too wide there.
Yeah, how Blink DTs are in the game so early, you know? I was like, what is going on here? But yeah, great job by TriGGeR. I think he wasn't really expecting that to happen, but he was like, you know what, let's try it. If not, I just snipe the Stalker. And boom, the DTs went in, and I'm happy, you know. I'm happy for TriGGeR, because that move made him get such a high advantage.
Yeah, it really did. By the time the DT that Arcshrine was dealt with, like, the DTs already paid for themselves. They already kind of forced the game in a certain direction, and now this is it. This is where it all ends, Cristiano. We are tied up 1-1. This is the ace match.
Oh yeah, so representing at the bottom left corner, he is from Alpha X, putting up a fight, TriGGeR.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Jagannatha LE, we have one of the best players, period, in North America. But struggling a little bit in his first match of the group stage, we have the American Protoss. He's blue, also representing Alpha X. It is Astrea.
I feel the tension, you know. Every time the series is 1-1, especially in PvP, you feel the tension. It's like, damn, every single decision it's gonna matter to decide who's going to win. So you're kind of like tense, perhaps not nervous, but you feel the tension, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially like you were talking about it in our first series. PvP is just a knife fight, you know? Like that's what adds to the tension because anything could be going on, right? We could have DTs again. We could have, I don't know, another crazy all-in for all we know. God, I feel for these two players and we'll see who comes out on top, man. This is it. It all ends here.
Yeah, one of the I think it's the only player I ever heard that told to the cameraman that PvP is easy. It was Trap. Trap in last GSL there was an interview and the cameraman asked, what do you think it's your best match and why? And he said PvP because it's easy. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Then he started to explain that PvP, when you are able to scout, it's so easy to put up an answer to it because the hard counters are so explicit, you know? If you go for Mass Stalker, the counter is Immortals, Zealots, and Archons, you know? If you go for Phoenix, the counter is Mass Blink All-In. If you go any strat, you know, any strat has a very hard counter. So Trap is like, if you're able to scout in time, you're going to be always on top of your enemy's decision. Therefore, it's very easy to play PvP. And I was like, you know, this guy is smart in everything, but I've seen him die against a guy who simply goes for DTs and he doesn't scout. So I don't really believe him, but it makes sense also, you know?
Yeah,
it makes sense.
yeah. It's one of those things where information is key, information is king in PvP. We've even seen it today, right? Where if something goes unscouted, then I mean you're just dead, mate. It's over.
Yeah,
God.
and level battery shield in order to block the entrance of the natural. That's very interesting. One of the battery shields, of course, it's going to finish. The other one, hopefully, TriGGeR is able to cancel it. Please don't let it finish. Oh my god, I was starting to get nervous. But
There we go.
that was close. That was close.
Yes, just in time. TriGGeR is able to throw down that shield battery just to wall off, but he has to be on top of it because again, Astrea, he's not stopping. Up.
Oh my god, that's so unfortunate. And because of this little mistake, now TriGGeR is behind. As simple as that. One mistake, it's all it takes in order to be behind in a PvP. And now the Adepts are going to get into the main. They're going to get more kills.
May, this is devastating. The Oracle's even forced to stay here at home and waste energy on these Adepts as well instead of across the map. TriGGeR took a massive risk going for this low ground wall. Like you see it on a couple of maps, not too often you see it on Jagannatha. It's greedy, and we saw why. Like you have to be so on top of walling off against his Adepts, and one mistake and mate, it could be over.
Yeah, and unfortunately, TriGGeR, at least, look, he's got the tools in order to come back, which is the Oracle. If he's able to kill some probes, he's gonna be able to do the payback time, you know. But I'm very curious to see how TriGGeR is going to play this out from behind. And Astrea has got two options. He can go for a macro playstyle, or he can just go for an all-in. And as you guys can see, Astrea is going for the third Nexus. So he's very confident that he's going to resist any aggression from TriGGeR if he attempts to go for a 2-base attack.
Exactly. We even have a nice spread of these Stalkers. The Oracle will not find a way in. Meanwhile, Twilight Council just finished for TriGGeR. Blink is on the way, but we also have a proxy pylon. Never mind. Mate, Dark Shrine? Dark Shrine?
Are we going to see it again? No, it's just gonna be a proxy gate. And it's a very nice move. It's gonna allow him to... Oh my god, the force fields are just so good, and he's got no blink. This was so greedy once again from TriGGeR. Making these mistakes are allowing Astrea to take advantage on the army supply without having many gates, and this is just awful, you know, awful for TriGGeR.
Yeah, exactly. At the same time, TriGGeR tried to dip in with his Oracle maybe when Astrea was distracted, but no, there were Stalkers in the main base, and Astrea was able to defend and attack at the same time. And yo, Dark Shrine is on the way, but it's at home.
Yeah, it seems like the Dark Shrine, it's more of a desperate move.
Yeah.
He's like hoping to see if he can ever make some damage. But yeah, that's it. It's like a Hail Mary play, you know? I'm very skeptical about this move.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he can somehow pull it off. Again, he's praying to Santa Maria right now. We have a stasis on the way. You know, Dark Shrine's about to finish up. Oh, God. Maybe TriGGeR could pull something off. Blink is about to finish up in a couple of seconds. It's not ready yet, though. It's not ready yet.
Yeah, the reveal is on the way for the Oracle, and it's gonna be a very good reveal because now he's going to figure out where are the units of Astrea. Maybe if he goes for an offensive blink and then he pulls back, Astrea can perhaps blink towards the stasis ward, and in that way TriGGeR can do a counterattack. But it seems so difficult, you know, for that to happen.
It's gonna be very difficult, but mate, we need to do something. DTs are warped in. We do have two of them headed towards the main base.
Look, the observer!
Oh god, the observer's gonna come out just in time to spot the DTs, but the army is getting a little bit distracted, but the DTs get spotted.
Oh no, it was the worst timing for TriGGeR. Just in the nick of time. Look, the stasis ward was able to capture some of the units, and now TriGGeR can perhaps have some sort of window to be aggressive, but it looks very difficult. At least he's gonna be able to get 1 or 2 sentries, but man, this looks so difficult.
Yeah, exactly. Stasis Ward is about to run out here, but Astrea, and he has his main army covering those stasis units, so Astrea does reclaim control of this area of the map. TriGGeR trying to sneak in with the DT, but there is already an observer here.
Yeah, at least the DT is gonna do some sort of damage. 4 probes, 5 actually are going down, and it looks still so difficult for TriGGeR because Astrea has already got the immortals. He's got all the upgrades that he wants. He's got the higher army supply. He's got the Warp Prism in order to move across the map, and there's no attempt of fourth base for Astrea, which means Astrea wants to go for the kill.
Yeah, exactly. He's moving out across the map with his entire army. What do you have at home to defend? We have 2 shield batteries, we have overcharge, but I feel like just the army itself is really lacking here for TriGGeR. I just don't know if he has enough to hold, even with the stacked defense.
Yeah, and at minute 8:30, Astrea is gonna make the 4th Nexus, and at the same time, the aggression to see if he's gonna be able to finish the game at this right moment. And oh my god, the battery overcharge is doing miracles, but only for now. Once the battery overcharge finishes, it's gonna be just too difficult for TriGGeR. And look at the positioning of the force wheel. Oh my god, the stalkers are completely trapped. The oracles desperately trying to put a stasis ward to see if there's some sort of miracle. Astrea, on the other hand, with the immortals, is doing such a great job at killing the stalkers of TriGGeR. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is game.
Yeah, exactly. TriGGeR did an amazing job at taking it all the way to the ace match, but it is not going to be enough. Astrea takes the game, and he takes the